So here's withdrawals. So this might look a little bit complicated, but I swear it'll make more sense as I explain it. So the best way to explain how to take withdrawals out of a Roth IRA are first to explain how money gets into the Roth IRA. So money can get into a Roth IRA one of three ways. One is a direct contribution, right? So you go to your account, you log in, and then you link your banking information just like you would like if you were doing a transfer from one bank to another. It's basically the same process. And you'd make a contribution into the account up to that $6,500 income limit. This is considered a direct contribution. The second way is what's known as a conversion. So a conversion is when you take funds that already exist in another traditional retirement account, such as a 401k or a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA, and you do what's called a conversion. So you move those pre-tax funds to after-tax funds. In the process of doing that, you pay taxes on the funds that you move, and that process of moving money from that one account to the other account is known as a conversion or rollover. Those words are kind of used interchangeably. This is considered a second distinct way that money can move into a Roth IRA. So way number one is direct contribution. Way number two is a rollover or conversion. Way number three is the magical way, right? You already put money in the account via methods 1 and 2, right? So you made a direct contribution. Let's say you bought some stock, and that stock has risen in value as you've owned the account. So this would be the third way to get new money into a Roth IRA. These are called your returns, your earnings, your gains. And this is designated by way number 3. So why do we make a distinction between all these different ways that money can kind of get into an account? And the reason why is because the IRS makes such a distinction, and we care about what the IRS cares about. Why does this matter? The IRS makes this designation because depending on how the money got into the account depends on how you get it out. And there are different rules for how you get the money out based on how it got in. So if, for example, you make a contribution to a Roth IRA, you make a direct contribution. So you go in, you log into your account, you do a normal bank transfer, the money's in the account, up to $6,500, right? Because that's the direct contribution limit is $6,500. Rollovers and conversions do not count towards that $6,500. If you make a direct contribution to a Roth IRA, you can take that money out at any moment for any reason. You don't need permission. The only thing you have to do is do a withdrawal. So you log into your account, you say, I want to make a withdrawal of this amount of money, and that's it. Which is very different from how a lot of the other retirement accounts work. Typically with those accounts, you have to wait until age 59 and a half, or there have to be some other special circumstances that allow you to take the money out. Now with the Roth IRA, you can take money out of a Roth IRA at any moment for any reason if you put the money in as a direct contribution. So let's say, for example, you have a Roth IRA and in 1 year you put in $1,000. The next year you put in, let's say, $2,000. Year 3, cash is a little bit tight. You need to take money out. You're looking for places where you can pull money from. You can pull up to $3,000 out of your Roth because that was your total contribution over the previous years. $1,000 2 years ago, $2,000 last year. And that's true whenever. So that's true a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. You can pull that contribution money out. So that's a really good and free way to be able to access liquid funds. The second way that you can pull money out of a Roth IRA is based on bullet number 2, the one in light blue, and that is based on the rollover conversion. So if money gets into a Roth IRA based on a rollover or a conversion, then you can pull the money out in 5 years after the conversion. I believe it's 5 tax years and not 5 calendar years, right? A tax year is just like tax years start in April and calendar years start in January. So there's a little bit of interesting intrigue going on there. But in general, it's 5 years. So the requirements for taking money out that was put in the account due to a conversion or a rollover is that the account has to be at least 5 years old. So you can open up a Roth IRA years prior to a conversion actually taking place, and you can get this 5-year requirement. Like let's say, for example, you open up a Roth IRA in 2020 and you want to do a conversion in 2025 where you don't have to worry about the 5-year requirement of the account being open for 5 years because the account's already been open for 5 years. But what the reason why that rule exists is because sometimes people will open up a Roth IRA to do a conversion. And so the account is like brand new. And so they have to wait 5 years to do something with the money. But conversions and rollovers, two conditions that have to be met to take money out. One is that the account has to be open for at least 5 years. And two is that the funds have to be in the account for 5 years, right? Right. If the account is brand new, then both conditions will happen at the same time. But if the account was opened much earlier, then you just have to worry about waiting 5 years to take the money out. Now, consider here for this second point that I make no mention of age. That's right. You do not have to wait until 59 and a half to pull a conversion out of a Roth IRA. So let's say, for example, you have a 401k, you want to pull money out, you can't because you have to wait till 59 and a half to do that. So you do a conversion to move your traditional 401k money into a Roth IRA. All you have to do is wait 5 years after you do that and you can pull the money out. Now, let's say you were at 40 years old when you did the traditional 401k conversion. You're not 59 and a half, so you can't access the money directly from a traditional 401k. But you do a conversion to a Roth IRA, you pay the taxes, you wait 5 years. Now, at age 45, you can access that full amount that was in your conversion that is now in your Roth IRA tax-free, and you're only 45. So using conversions can be a great way to access funds that you otherwise would not have access to until a later age. And you can plan out conversions such that you have a steady stream of income pre the standard retirement age of 59 and a half when you can start to access the money normally through a 401k. This process is known as a Roth conversion ladder. And I'm going to make a separate video about the Roth conversion ladder and how it works and how you can use it to set up like early retirement and things like that, or even just a more substantiated retirement on a normal timeline. But yeah, so the second provision also allows you to take out money before 59 and a half, provided that the account has been open for at least 5 years and that the conversion and that 5 years has taken place since the conversion has taken place. So that's a good way to get even more money out of the account, right? With the first point, you could only take out up to your contribution limit. So up to $6,500 you could put in the account per year, and you could take all of it out at any time up to your contribution total over the years you've had the account. With number two, you could potentially put in much, much more into a 401k or a traditional IRA, convert it over to a Roth, pay those taxes, and then potentially take out those thousands or tens of thousands of dollars tax-free before you hit the standard retirement age of 59 and a half. Okay. And then lastly, money type number three. So returns and gains and earnings on invested monies. That pool of money, you have to wait until 59 and a half to touch. The other two pools you can pull out either immediately for no reason or within 5 years, but earnings have to stay in the account until 59 and a half. That is the true retirement count of how the retirement part of how this particular retirement account works. Is the only part of your monies that are in the account that are actually subjected to the normal traditional retirement account withdrawal rules are your returns. Everything else can be pulled out potentially at some point earlier than that, but your returns have to stay in the account until 59 and a half. So let's say, for example, you have an account, you have monies in it, and you have, let's say, a mix of different funds. If you want to pull money out of the account, it gets pulled out in this order. So if you have a mix of number one, number two, and number three in the account, right? You got a conversion in there, you got some earnings in there because the account is a few years old, and you obviously have contributions in there if you have earnings. So if you were to make a withdrawal from the account, your number ones would come out first, right? Your contributions would exit the account first. That's how the IRS designates it. That's how it is. That's how it's treated. Then after all of your contributions are gone, then you'll dig into the conversions as you start to pull out more. Then after all your conversions are gone, you'll start to dig into the earnings. So not only is each of these different ways show you under what circumstances you can pull the money out, but it also tells you in what order the money will be pulled out when you make a withdrawal. And so if you have, let's say, for example, $10,000 in a Roth IRA, and let's say 5,000 of that is direct contributions. And let's say 5,000 of that is investment gains. You did a good job. Congrats. You turn 5 grand into 10 grand. You can pull that 5 grand out at any moment for any reason because it falls under group number one. But the remaining $5,000, you have to wait until age 59 and a half to pull it out because it's investment earnings. So let's say, for example, second example, let's say you have $10,000 in the account again. Now you've only put in $2,000 into the account this time, and then you have $8,000 earnings, still 10 grand, and you pull out 5 grand. What happens now? So first, $2,000 come out of your contributions, but all that's left is your $8,000 in earnings. The money you pull out will be an additional $3,000 in addition to the $2,000 of contributions you pulled out. You'll pull out $3,000 in earnings to pull out 5 grand, and that will be a violation of your Roth IRA. So what typically will happen in that case is you will end up paying a penalty of 10% of what you pull out. And I remember there was some provision, maybe you end up paying taxes on it too, something dumb. I can't remember. But you certainly will pay the 10% penalty on whatever you pull out. So that'd be like an extra $300 fee or something because you pulled out earnings before 59 and a half. So just kind of keep that in mind, that as you have different types of monies in the account, consider when each of those monies can be pulled out and under what circumstances to help you set up your long-term financial plan. So given all of the interesting ways that you can get money into and out of a Roth IRA and all the special rules, I thought that it'd be great to make it even more complicated. So these rules, these 3 ways of getting money out of the Roth IRA, to me are what are known as the standard methods for getting money out. But they're not the only ways. There's actually other special provisions that can be met that allow you to also pull money out of a Roth IRA in special circumstances. Most of the time, you're going to be using one of these 3 to pull money out, but I do want to at least make you aware that there are other potential ways that you can pull money out of a Roth IRA if you find yourself in an interesting situation. So we're going to discuss that on the next slide. Okay, here we are on the next slide. So we talk about the special withdrawal conditions. So the IRS on their website has probably about 12 or 15 different special exceptions that can be met that will allow you to pull money out of a Roth IRA outside of the 3 normal cases that I spoke about on the previous page. Those special exceptions have a large range of possibilities from death of the person who owned the account. I have mobility there. Military instances, so if you're active military, maybe you're getting deployed, you have some form of disability or illness, or maybe even special life circumstances like you're trying to purchase your first home, or maybe you're trying to pay for an education for either you or your child or your grandchild. And then, of course, the special exceptions that I list there at the bottom. SEPP, which is the substantially equal periodic payments. That is a special provision that allows you to take money out of a Roth IRA. And I'm going to cover that in a different video, but I just kind of wanted to list it here for completeness. And so over there on the right-hand side of the table, I list some very common vanilla ways that you can get money out of a Roth IRA outside of the 3 provisions that I listed on the previous page that are the most common special condition withdrawal scenarios that are used. So the 2 I have listed there are education expenses, which I mentioned briefly earlier. So if you're trying to pay for tuition, fees, books, and supplies for either you, a grandchild, or a child, you can make withdrawals from a Roth IRA. I believe I'm not sure what the limit is. You'd have to check on that, but you can use your Roth IRA money to pay for educational expenses like room and board. The second provision I have listed there is particularly for first-time home buyers. So if you are trying to buy your first house and maybe you made some contributions to a Roth IRA in previous years, not only can you take out all of your contributions based on provision 1 from the previous page, right? You can take out your contributions at any time for any reason, and you don't need to ask anybody. There's no age requirement. But in addition to being able to take out your contributions for that, you can also take out an additional $10,000 on top of that, presumably of either your conversions or your earnings, to pay for a first-time home. Now, this provision supersedes the rule that you have to pay a 10% penalty if you pull money out if you pull earnings out of a 401k before 59.5, this supersedes that. So if you pull the money out for a home purchase, then you don't have to pay that penalty. And it's not necessarily just a home purchase either. If you're buying a home or if you're even constructing a home, all of that kind of qualifies under this provision, interestingly. The other thing I'll say is that it's not necessarily for first-time home buyers. It is for first-time home buyers. They meet the requirement. But if you haven't been a homeowner in the last 2 years, then you technically qualify as a first-time home buyer under this provision, and you can still pull the money out for that reason as well. So I know that was a lot, but those are all the ways that you can pull money out of a Roth IRA for different circumstances. So you'll have the 3 common cases that I listed on the previous slide, but then you'll also have all of these special provisions that you want to look into